Do 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 do. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, am I live? I think that I'm live. Hey, you guys. Hello, you guys. This is Dee Edwards. I am super excited to be here today as your ambassador for Alabama. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for allowing me to be here on today. So, listen, you guys, I want you guys to tag someone, let someone know that we're live. And to all of you all who would catch the replay, please let me know that you are watching this video and if this information that we're providing to you, if it's relevant and if it is helpful for you. As a tax business owner myself, I would like to take my years of experience, over 20 years in the tax industry, and I want to just share and pour and to make sure that you guys are building compliant tax firms, because I want you guys to understand that as a tax business owner, the information that you have is the information that you provide to your team. And so if you don't have correct information, guess what you're doing? You're passing down incorrect information to your team, who then pass down incorrect information to your clients, and then who end up building a firm that is non-compliant. All right. And so we want to make sure that the information that we have, that it is beneficial to you guys. So I am from Birmingham, Alabama. Where are you guys from? All right. Let me know where you guys are from. All right. So listen, on today's broadcast, I want to talk a little bit about Schedule Cs. So some of the information that I share with you guys, it is maybe a refresher, but there's going to be something that I may say to you guys that you're going to be like, oh, wow. So I want to go ahead and get started because, like, my pastor would say, I don't want to be before you long on today. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, we need to understand, and I took notes, but first of all, we need to understand, in order to be in a business, that your clients have to be engaged in a trade or a certain type of activity, continuously and regularly. And so, in other words, that means that they have to consistently be working in the business on a regular basis. So if someone say, hey, I got a business, but I only work the business every now and then, do you know that that is not enough, in order for them to be considered a business owner? And so when you begin to think about you as a business owner, right, we understand that we're continuously working in our business. We understand that we're either continuously working in our business or we're working on our business. We're thinking about our brand. We're thinking about ways to grow our business, right? And so the tax clients that you guys are working with, you have to make sure that you let them know that in order to be considered a business owner, that they have to work continuously, and then they also have to work regularly in that business, right? And then also the primary purpose for working in that business is to generate profit, not to set up the business, not to establish the business, but to generate profit. So if someone say, well, I'm in this business and it really doesn't matter whether or not I make money, guess what? You are not a real business owner. They are not a real business owner. We understand that as much as we love God, we love our clients, we operate in integrity, all of that stuff that sound good, but the bottom line, guess what? It is about the money. Okay, it is about the money. And if you guys are running a tax firm where it's not about the money, then you need to go open up like a Vita, with the IRS, where you can go and volunteer for free. Okay, and then you need to also make sure that your clients, they understand that in order for it to be considered a business, that their main activity and their purpose for being involved is to generate profit. All right, so it's for income. Also, it is important for them to understand that having sporadic activity, in the business is really not considered them being an efficient business owner. And so, in other words, they may just have a glorified hobby. They may just have, it may just be considered a hobby and not an actual business. You guys need to make sure that you're communicating effectively with your clients, that when we are in business, that means that we are making an investment to bring our activity to profit. Okay. Because here's the thing. That's why when you are completing your due diligence on your Schedule C, there has to be questions that you're asking your clients. If you notice that your clients year after year that they're going into a loss, year after year, like their loss is not reducing, then you need to make sure that you are documenting heavily in the in your due diligence somewhere in the file to let the IRS know that you did ask this question, and as to what is the hindrance as to why their business is not generating profit. Okay, because think about it like this. First of all, we need to understand that the IRS, they are not dumb. They are slow, but they're not dumb. And so sometimes it takes years before the IRS catch up with people, but please understand that they do catch up with people. Your job is not to be the IRS, but your job is to make sure that you're performing due diligence, and your job is to educate your clients. Your job is to make sure that your clients also understand like the rules and regulations when it comes to being a small business owner and what the expectations are, right? And so we all know that a form of due diligence is that we have to ask questions and then also document the answer. So let's say if your files were audited, you may be saying, well, I know that I asked this client this question. Well, if you didn't document it, then it did not happen. So documentation is always the key, and you have to document the actual question that you ask the client concerning their business, and then also you need to document their answer. So we have like due diligence questions that we ask our clients when it comes to being a small business owner, because we need to be able to show the IRS as a tax professional that we have done our part. So we need to know questions like this. How do you keep track of your income? How do you keep track of your expenses? How long have you been in business? How do you market to your clients? What means of what are the various ways that you use to get clients, in the door? How do you keep track of mileage? So we're asking a variety of questions. We ask them, do you have a website? Is it required for you to have a professional license in order for you to be engaged in this activity? So we're asking questions, and then we're also documenting the answer as well. So again, it is important that you educate your clients and you let them know the importance of generating a profit year after year with these Schedule C's, you guys, because we are about to embark on a tax season where the IRS, they are heavily looking at Schedule C's. So I want to make sure that as the ambassador for Alabama with this amazing association is that we are in compliance and we're performing our due diligence, right? And then a lot of times, people may feel uncomfortable with asking clients questions, right? But you need to prepare them in the beginning. So you may say something like this. You may say, hmm, hey, my name is Dee Edwards, and I'm super excited that you have chosen to do business with me on today. Since this is your first time doing business with me, I want to explain to you the process so you'll understand how we work with our clients. Okay. And so during this process, you're going to be completing documents, and then I'm going to be asking you some questions. Now, you may feel like I'm being a little bit nosy, but this is just part of the requirements that we have to put in your file. Are you okay with that? And they'll say, they're fine with that. Okay. So you can say whatever you want to say, but it's important for your clients to know that, yeah, I may ask you a few questions that may be uncomfortable for you, but I want to make sure that I'm doing my part as well as helping you maximize your refund. Okay. All right. So something else that you guys need to also understand is that, let's say if someone formed like an LLC, right? So let's say if they formed an LLC like on paper and all of that. Let me tell you this, having an LLC with no activity to generate profit, but they have all of these expenses, guess what, you guys? Guess what the IRS say? That that those that year where they didn't have any activity is the year that you're not supposed to be filing that Schedule C on that tax return, because we'll have people that have established LLCs, but guess what, they may not have no activity under it, but that LLC still generate expenses, right? Because we still have like a business privilege tax here in Alabama that we may have to file, and so they may have had an accountant to do that for them. They may have had a website and they have these expenses for the business, but they don't have any activity to generate profit. Guess what? They don't need to be filing that Schedule C for that year, because we all know that we do not file Schedule Cs with zero income, right? Okay, no Schedule Cs with zero income. So listen to this, you guys. Although your tax client formed an LLC to create the appearance of a trade or business, he supplied, if your tax client supply no evidence that he or she used the LLC to conduct any business activity for that year, the LLC had no business records or employees and did not maintain their bank account. So basically, they don't have any proof as to them having activity with that business for the year. Guess what? Do not file it on that tax return. Okay? Do not file it on that tax return. Okay. And so you have to, as a tax business owner, especially for those of you guys who want to create longevity and want to make sure that you have a compliant tax office. A lot of times we are afraid to tell people, hey, I can't do this, or we shouldn't do this. We allow the client to lead. No, no, no. You are the professional and you lead the client. You lead the client, and so they're expecting you, although they don't act like it, they're expecting you to tell them the truth about different circumstances and situations, especially when it comes to the tax laws. Now, I know that if you guys are just now getting into the tax industry or whatever, you may feel as if you may say, well, I want to lose this $500 walking out the door. I'd rather lose that $500 walking it out the door than to have my office audited, or to have my tax client audited. You know what I'm saying? I believe, like, with every person that decides to walk out the door because you choose integrity, God is sending you, 2 to 3 more new clients. Okay. So just always think about the longevity of your tax firm, not just in the moment, but also just think about the longevity of it as well. Okay. So this is just a little information that I wanted to share with you guys regarding Schedule Cs. But we're like Schedule C, we can go in depth when it comes to just learning about Schedule Cs. But this is definitely a form that I believe that you guys really, really need to understand as far as the do's and don'ts. Because I've seen some foolish stuff over the years when it comes to Schedule Cs. I've seen where people have had, $2,000 income, but they didn't have $30,000 and $40,000 in loss. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. It may look sense for that refund amount, but it doesn't make sense, you guys. It doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense to you, then please believe it doesn't make sense to the IRS. All right. And I don't care how many years that you have been doing it. Just remember that if it don't make sense to you, it does not make sense to the IRS. So keep that in mind as you are filing taxes with for your clients on the behalf of the IRS. All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in on today. I hope that the information that I've shared with you guys have been beneficial and that it will help you as we enter into this new tax season. Have an amazing day.